All right.
Just crazy.
Rocco, we only have you for X amount of time, so let's move on to your topic.
Okay, so my topic is, it's coming around right now because of the fact that we're dealing with our president-elect, Donald Trump, who believes that, so my topic is on global warming, okay? Our president-elect who's coming into the White House starting in January, he does not believe that global warming is real. He believes that it is a hoax created by the Chinese government so that they could put regulations on the American industry so that they could get ahead of the game, essentially. Right? I think that's a bit ridiculous, especially because the entire science community has came together to say that global warming is a real thing. Not even the science community coming together, but the fact that we can see things in our own lives today about how warm our own environments have gotten over the span of 10 years, where our winters aren't as cold or they're not coming around as soon as they used to. We can see these on our own lives, as well as in research. So an example of that is that North Pole is 30 degrees warmer right now in the wintertime than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is showing that global warming is a real thing. Okay, so for our president to be sitting there and saying that it's a hoax, this scares me. And now that scares me on a large scale more than it does with like the terrorism or this or that, because when we're talking about global warming, we're talking about the entire world. And that it can end the human existence. And I have children with a family, so the future is very, very important for me. And I want to make sure that we're taking steps to make this not a situation where we all burn on this planet.
We can't have a Hurricane Sandy every year. We can't have a Hurricane Katrina every year. It would just destroy our country slowly. I mean, there's global warming, and there's also like fracking. Can cause like certain earthquakes. Like there's a lot of stuff that we're doing.
I'm not saying we're good for the environment. We're technically a bacteria of the world, but think about this. I mean, I haven't done extensive research as you guys have, Rocco, but things that I've learned in the past is that the Earth, if you look historically, has always gone through cycles of warming and cooling off. So we could just be going through a normal warming up period, and then eventually it'll go
so to that point, you're right, as in the sense of the world has gone through these periods. But what we have seen from that data compared to what we're doing right now, we've seen that we have sped up that rate exponentially by like thousands and thousands of times the rate of what you did normally naturally. Because of the fact of how much CO2 released in the world, we are then speeding up the warming process, which is releasing more CO2 from the frozen ice that is melting because of what we're actually doing.
Right, and you can see they have CO2 maps, like almost like heat maps, and you can see giant holes inside them, and that's what's causing the increased heat. The only thing to my knowledge that can repair the CO2 shield, or the CO2 destroys like the atmospheric shield that protects us from UV rays and excess heat. The only thing that can destroy or repair that is lightning. So
is that what I said?
That's my understanding, and I could be completely wrong as of now. But I do remember watching like it being repaired through like natural occurrences of like lightning stuff. But like it's just not repairing quick enough. We are by far, like Rocco said, speeding up this process. I'm looking at in the global warming, like he thinks it's a hoax, but it's really funny because the United Nations Climate for Change conference happened last in 2015 in Paris, and they had brought in a ton of countries together to unite under a set group of policies that will help reduce global warming and get the world kind of back on track and slow down this process that we have sped up. And you look at the CO2 emissions, China's off the charts.
Off the charts.
Off the charts. The next two big ones are United States and the European Union, which has 28 different countries. Then you have India, Russia, Japan, Germany, South Korea. You have international shipping, Canada, United Kingdom, Brazil, and like these things are like now tiny compared to the United States, and China is about double the amount of what the United States does. So it's really interesting to see that he thinks it's a hoax, yet all these nations and scientists have come together to be like, look, this is what we're going to do. So now he said a lot of things that he seems to be backtracking on, which I find fascinating on so many different layers. But we'll see. Like, I don't think he hasn't yet backtrack on this. And so whether it's we're not going to do it anymore, or well, we need to renegotiate so that we don't have to do as much regulation or something like that, because his transition team has very much a deregulation of government a part of it, right? It's an alt-right, somewhat like old conservative mentality in some ways. In some ways it's not. Some ways it's moderate, and some ways it's very there's some things that the Democrats would like to see as well. It's a mixed bag. So yeah, he believes, it's a hoax. I think it's absolutely a problem, and we're seeing it in the form of just sea level rises. We're seeing it in the form of mass destructive storms every year. We're seeing it in wildlife destruction. We're seeing it all over the place.
Yep.
So I'm just looking up some myths and facts about global warming, because I know that it's a very polarized topic, and I understand that there is a scientific community that it's all about, that global warming is there, but there's also part of the scientific community that calls it a hoax also.
They're a minority, though.
Yeah, I know. But some things that I'm hearing, I'm reading and seeing here is that unprecedented melting of ice is taking place in both North and South polar regions. Mm-hmm. They're saying that's a myth. And now one thing they say is that both Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets are growing in thickness and cooling at their summit. So they're saying that the sea ice around the Antarctic attained a record area in 2007. So they're saying that it was a record size in 2007, and that it actually wasn't melting off.
That's like directly conflicting with the reports that we have read, in that it's melted. And I mean, you have sea levels rising. Those sea levels, like, that water has to come from somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. And that's coming from the ice caps because of its melting. There's like images of what North Antarctica looked like 10 years ago, and then what it looks like now in like the current time of year, and it's just polar bears like on grass, as opposed to a ton of like snow, right?
So here's another thing too as well. I forget what movie it was recently. I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio was doing a movie where they were looking for ice forever. They were like trying to find a good shot location for it, and they were discovering the effects of global warming because of the fact that they couldn't find a location that was giving off this ice field that they were looking for, because they were not finding it because it was melting off. Another thing too that worries me with this, guys, is the lack of forethought. The lack of forethought about the future, right? We have done terribly as a country to think about, if we do this today, what will happen down the road, right? We have been, as a country as a whole, we've been making decisions about the immediate, like, we just want stuff now. We want stuff now, not caring about what happens later on.
That's the human race. We've been doing this forever.
This is what I'm saying. So, like, we have to get off of this perspective, especially with something so big like global warming, for example. We have to start thinking about what we can do today to reduce what's going to happen later in the future, or to make a
stop
major
driving,
change.
Rocco.
Well, or
so that's where it
get
gets
out of the car and walk.
So here's where it gets political, right? Is Donald Trump won on the backs of the Rust Belt and the middle of America, which for a large part is agriculture, lumbering, and coal. And coal is in a big way, and like oil, right, is a big industry that thrives on these not so green environmental things. So, okay, by admitting that climate change is something that they need to fight, would in some ways admit that he needs to reduce the usage of all of that, right? And that would go against his platform base that has voted for him, which are people who really want jobs, who are working these coal mines and working on these oil rigs. So, it is a shame. Sorry for the noise, but it is a shame. But what do you do? Like, and I sympathize with all these people who are hearing this, and I see how it could be very easy to want to, because if you believe in climate change but you work in a coal mine, you're basically admitting that like your job needs to stop, and that's got to be really hard for someone to come to.
So I guess at the end of the day, when you're really trying to get to the point of like getting yourself off of fossil fuels, we have to understand that it's like, they have their hands so deep in the pockets of every politician we can imagine. So it's going to be hard for us to get off of fossil fuels. But why can we not have, even if you were an advocate that says that it's a hoax for global warming, why can you not still then say, fine, it's a hoax, but let's increase our what we allow for. Geez, man, this I'm sorry, I'm crossing a railroad and the railroad thing was down, but there's no train coming, so it made me nervous. Anyway, so why can't we still have things like fossil fuels? Say, okay, you're gonna have your coal mines and this and that, even though I know that those are ruining and it's creating to be faster, but with a guy who says that that's all a hoax anyways. Say, you want to create more jobs, let's create more jobs in the green industry as well. We're not to say we'll take away or hinder whatsoever in the fossil fuel area because you believe it's a joke, which I don't, but still create
if your goal is to
solar power and other things too as well, to create more power out there from different areas, not just oil only or coal only, but now even clean energies too. Like, why be so opposed to the idea of clean energy just because you're opposed to the idea of global warming? That shouldn't go hand in hand together.
Yeah, I mean they do though. They do in a lot of ways, because if you look at you're building cars for, even the car industry is impacted by this, right? Are you going to make electric cars or are you going to make traditional cars?
But why not make them anyways? Is my point. Why not make both? Not saying so. Like again,
because it's in some ways it's a zero-sum game. There's only so many people to buy cars, and if you have you have to replace at this point. What are you going to replace it with? And it's going to be in my mind, I could be completely wrong, but in my mind, it's the coal and it's the oil. Like, it needs to be replaced with green energy.
Well, no. I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you, and it should be. But when you're talking about, we have a president who doesn't agree with either one of us at all whatsoever, right? And wants to just stick with coal and with fossil fuels only. Yeah. Then why he can't, I mean, even if he's trying to create jobs, and let's say he's not doing electric cars. What if he starts doing
because that's just it, is like, if he's going to create jobs, the first thing he's going to do, in my opinion, is not going to be towards green energy. Like, these people, it's not that they're like, they are worried about their job, but they also don't have jobs. Yeah. There's two big portions of that. There's those who are worried about their jobs because they see all the other people who can't get jobs in the Rust Belt. These people want more coal jobs. They want more lumber jobs. They want more of these jobs that will bring and so if he were to even put his attention towards the green energy, that's going to piss off all those people. So he needs to get more coal mining, which means to go against
those individuals that don't have jobs right now that were supposed to be working in the coal mines to build solar fields.
How? They don't have any experience, and a lot of them don't even want to do that. They want their old job back. So it's really convoluted. And the other point I just found is that, like, this affects, and I think it's pretty complicated, right? Because I don't think they understand either, and it sucks that they're not willing, or we can't figure out a way to have these people have jobs towards green energy, and this is partly on the CEOs, like. The president-elect needs to talk to CEOs like Elon Musk and be like, look, we have a problem. You want to do certain, like, green energy projects. I need your help in convincing all of these people in the Midwest that need jobs, that they will be excited and want to work for you to build green energy. Like, I need your help to do that. Because they just want their old stuff back. They don't really, grass is, like, not greener for them. They want to stick with the devil they know, right?
I understand.
Because the other thing here is that you're looking at Greenland. I'm pulling up a report that says they're suffering from global warming too. Greenland has been warmer and warmer each year, and their animals are sometimes like 5 pounds lighter, and that is thousands of dollars lost for every single animal. That's like not the 5 pounds that they could potentially sell it for, right? And it goes into their crops as well. If their crops are not growing to the size, or
that's
having trouble
the other thing I was
going to
say is water. Like when we can see this in the droughts, for example, too, and when we're talking about like global warming. For example, we have had massive droughts out here in Georgia. We have had almost an entire month and a half, maybe even longer, without any rain whatsoever. We had in Alabama, we had a forest fire going on in North Carolina, in Tennessee, and in North Georgia. 4 huge fires going on all at the same time because of the drought. Right. Now, we had winds blowing in. The city of Atlanta looked like it was a massive fog day for an entire week last week. Right. But it was all smoke, forest fires all around in these 4 different states around us, and even one in our state. Yeah. And we're talking about 13,000 acres of forest that have been burned up because of these droughts.
I was getting hit with stuff like that too.
Exactly.
It's all
So
over the country.
because of this global warming, this happening, this occurring, droughts have been on the rise dramatically, which are causing all these other effects to happen. This is the butterfly effect. What people don't see, this is what I say about forethought. Seeing what we're doing right now. The butterfly effect of like, you do one thing down the road.
No, that's a rippling effect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Butterfly
ripple
effect is if you go back in time, you touch something, and it changes everything for the future.
No, butterfly effect is the ripple effect. It's like if the butterfly flaps its wings in Japan,
a butterfly
the tsunami happens in the other side of the world.
A butterfly effect is a ripple effect. A ripple effect does not necessarily mean it's a butterfly effect. A butterfly effect is a type of ripple.
Okay, gotcha.
But it is one that is done in the past
to change the future. Then a ripple effect in the sense of like,
there's a movie that
yes, we don't do this one thing here, this happens, and all these other things are connected, where you don't even think about drought being connected to it. You don't think about forest fires being connected to it. Right. You don't think about all these things that are happening today that we are experiencing. We're like, gosh, this is the end of the world. This is what people here in the South say. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. It's us being stupid. We are going to lead to that.
But, you can't really expect people, like I said, that they just care about jobs. They don't care how it happens, but they want their job back. And we have to hold someone like the president-elect and the CEOs and the big corporations for the amount of money they get to put it on their shoulders to figure out these problems and connect these threads and fix them. And it's interesting because you do have Donald Trump threatening to remove themselves from the United Nations. I forget what it's called, the council or whatever, to lower the emissions and all that stuff for global warming. And you have like 50 or so, how many of it? Hundreds of U.S. businesses urge Trump to uphold Paris climate deal. And we're getting more political as we talk about this, but this is a worry of mine with the type of cabinet that we're running with, right? People are wasting their time trying to convince someone of something that's already been pretty much proven to go and move forward, but they're spending their time arguing for the most part. So how much time is going to be wasted just trying to convince this guy? I mean, this is the same guy that thought Barack Obama was not the president of the United States, was not born in the United States until just a couple months ago.
Until September.
He spent 8 years spouting that shit.
Yeah. And then he finally admitted it in September.
Because he finally saw the papers. It wasn't because he had a come to Jesus moment. It's because someone showed him.
Well, and I think that there is some strive towards solar energy. I mean, just like here down in Florida, we just passed a bill or an amendment that, or actually we didn't pass it. I apologize. We voted against it, which was going to hinder solar energy. So the people, I think, are acting towards trying to fix these issues.
I agree with Ian here, and this is why I was saying I think they might want to fix these issues even in the Midwest. They, because of the fact that you're talking about, if I get myself on solar power, I don't have an electricity bill. A lot of people would be happy about that idea and they'd be very willing to get, into solar if they can eliminate another extra utility bill.
Yeah,
because they're doing it.
And we've talked about this tons of times in the past. Elon Musk wants to turn that electric bill into a positive. Could you imagine getting a check for $100 every month because you're storing electricity that you're giving to plants?
So that's your argument or your discussion or your sales pitch that you say Elon Musk gives to the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
That's the one they give. They go, hey, listen, do you guys like paying $200 a month or $150 a month for your electricity? No. Right. Well, how about you make $100? And the only way to do this is we have to switch and convert what we have going on right now to clean energy.
Right.
And they go, fine, I work for the coal industry, but I'm totally cool with getting an extra $100 because I have solar panel.
But it's not. It's very complicated to try to tell millions of people that.
No, I get it.
But people start to adjust. Okay, if you're in an industry that starts to go south and you see a job over here at this other industry where you could actually probably make more money, you will sit there and learn.
Maybe, but
the workforce will eventually retire, and other people will grow into it.
Absolutely, I just think that's going to be a struggling transition. Like, these people are in their 50s; they really want to retire soon. They don't necessarily want to have to learn a whole new skill. They don't want to start from the bottom. Like, I understand their stubbornness and the will to just want something very simple, which is to just get my job back. I don't care about the two generations. I just want my job back so I can retire. And while I don't necessarily agree with that mentality, I absolutely understand how someone could have that mentality at that age or in that position. Because I get it, man. Occam's razor. You just want the simplest thing because that's what makes sense to you. That's all you want. And
hey, guys, I'm going to have to roll, by the way.
Darn it, we didn't get to political correctness. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
we can jump to a different topic. How about that?
All right, you guys have a good one.
Okay.
See ya.
Peace. All right. Very interesting. Yeah. Really good stuff. I'm going to redo heads, or people are going to have to stare at your mouth the entire time.
Hey, guys.
Hey, dudes.
So we'll take a little intermission real quick, and we're going to pop back.
Yeah, intermission? Pop back now, man.
No, we're rolling with it. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's roll with it.
Just keep talking until we're ready.
I could rap.
You could rap.
Or I could beatbox.
Or you could beatbox.
We are the Maelstrom Gamers.
Oh, man, we might have to take that intermission.
I am terrible.
Yeah, it's okay. I am not. I am equally as bad.
Okay. Well, then I feel better.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Crap. Okay. So our next topic was gonna. Okay. Well, while we're on this.
Okay.
Oh man, there's one more thing I was gonna mention.
That's fine. And right before you do, I just want to let you know, like, I didn't just pull that thing out of my ass. It was actually something I kind of just looked up here real quick while you guys were talking. Yeah. This was actually things that were written and researched by a Robert Carter, who's a research professor at James Cook University in Queensland. It sounds like and at another university of Adelaide in South Australia. So, like, and he's like, I guess, a marine geologist and environmental scientist, and he wrote a book about myths and facts of global warming. Granted, it seems like he's, I'm not going to say on the fence. He's saying, yes, there are some things, but there's things that are being blown out of proportion, and people are saying, because you could sit there, okay, just like on any chart, people are like, oh, in 2020, the temperature is going to be way up here. Well, yeah, that's if it just keeps going at that constant, but that's not how it always works. Things go up and down constantly. So there was times in the Earth's atmospheric, I didn't do crazy research. I'm not a professional at this shit.
Yeah.
But it does hit peaks and valleys of heat and coolness. So yes, I think that we are damaging the atmosphere and creating probably some more warmth, but I don't think it's to the extent as some of these extreme people are going crazy about.
Yeah,
that's just my thoughts.
No, I think, and I really appreciate it's not strong enough word. I think it's necessary to have that kind of counter argument, and it's a good one. Because, or else we just start spitting and agreeing with each other. So yeah, I think you make some really good points, and I can absolutely see a hyperbolic rhetoric coming from that side, and maybe it's because without it, it doesn't seem dire enough, and it won't move the chains soon enough. But
I definitely want to see green energy. I want to see all that, just because it is better for the environment. It definitely helps people, I believe, more. It's going to create jobs. Granted, yes, it will take jobs from other fields by lowering the dependency on, electric companies and everything. But if you think about it, like, in a big picture, the electric companies are sitting there, depending on how they produce their energy, are spitting out energy to all these houses. So it's just a bunch of wires and going to houses. Grid. Yeah, a big grid, and it's going to the houses, and everyone's paying this entity that's going like this. Instead, have all of these become the power, send it to the power. Yeah, exactly. And that'll be great. It lowers the expenses of a household.
Yeah,
it lowers, the damaging effects of the atmosphere. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Of course, we're sitting there burning coal and all this other shit that just goes into the atmosphere. Yeah, it's going to damage it. But,
and lithium, which is a source of a lot of the quote unquote green energy, is also, should be noted, it's better than oil and coal, but it's not perfect either.
No,
it's not completely green like some people might believe. There are definitely problems with its process, and there's definitely problems with what it emits or how you get rid of it. But it is a step in the right direction in that it is better, relatively speaking, than the current status quo. So just as a reminder out there, everybody's like, no, we'll be completely fine if we stick with lithium. It's like, well, not really, but it is a step in the right direction.
Exactly. And I mean, even wave energy, I mean, if you think about that, that's just pretty much created by nature. That coming in could affect a wheel that turns that powers something.
That ultimately is what we should be striving for.
Right. You know, and
yeah. Oh my God, I've seen like concept art of that, and it's an insane, like cool, giant wheel in the bottom of the ocean, and there's just a farm of them, and they're all turning because the current of the ocean, and it's just like, it's so cool looking.
But then you got to think, okay, does that damage the I guess the life of the sea, and then boom, you know, everything is going to have some cause and effect. Nothing is going to be perfect. Yeah. But we could at least incorporate maybe all of it to work together, where it only has a very small impact on each one of those, instead of just, oh hey, we're going to just go destroy the ocean floors, or just farm a lithium and just destroy the earth, you know. Yeah. But I think a diversified energy plan would be the best way to go.
Cool, man. Good stuff.